My name is Tyler Fornes, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungy AEW podcast here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. We take a broad scope approach to the world of All Elite Wrestling and the entire universe of Tony Khan. We talk about the big matches, the big stars, the promos, the storylines, and we also look at it from a big picture perspective. How are things going to change over the course of the next 10 years with AEW still in the picture? How are companies like WWE going to adapt and adjust to AEW? Are they going to be a similar way like they did with WCW in the late 1990s? Will there be a counterpunch? We talk about all of that and more on The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy every week on the Voices of Wrestling Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Super J-Cast. Joined by Damon. I just thought I'd do it a little bit differently this week. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of July, and this is episode 317. It's a massive day, Damon. Big day, a lot of optimism, new leadership. We're getting rid of the washed old men, getting rid of the shitters, getting rid of the bigots, getting rid of the people that care more about the paycheck than the people. We're sitting on the brink of the dawn of a new era. It's UK general election time, baby!
Oh, wait a minute. I don't even need it. Now, I'm not going to hit it because then Dan has to edit it, and he'll be like, what the fuck? All this for one snare drum? You know what I mean? Like, I want to make his life a little easier. Yes. We have ours coming right around the corner, too. I'll get that sent out. We have ours right around the corner, too. And it's... Oh boy!
It's going to be a shit show.
Oh, just a fucking nightmare. Absolute. Just find two. Well, I don't really want to get into politics, but find me two of the worst possible candidates that you possibly can, and stick them in front of us and make us pick. It's fantastic. Love it. So yeah, whatever. I think we'll be comforted by the fact, though, that one, England's doing well, right? I mean, aside from playing just poor, boring football, they're looking good, and we have a New Japan show, and a overall feeling like we're in a good place. I'm sure we will get deep into the weeds on that. But, yeah, I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck, man? I don't know. You threw me off guard.
Yeah, by the time listeners are listening to this, there's a good chance that the election will be over and the Tories will just be wiped out, just dead.
You think so?
Absolutely dead, cooked, yeah. Well, I mean, if the polls are anything to go by. But they always kind of skew more on Labour because there's the shy Tories thing. People don't really want to admit that they're going to vote Conservative, but it'll probably be a bit closer than the poll suggests. But I'm just holding out hope if Rishi Sunak loses his seat in Parliament, that would just be chef's kiss. That would be wonderful. But I mean, the constituency where I live was in the last election pretty firmly Conservative. I'm going to be voting Labour, obviously, but I will be pretty happy if we manage to flip it. But I have seen at the bottom of my street, actually, someone put up a Tory sign today, like with the name of the local Tory candidate, and I was just half thinking of pulling over and just ripping it off the bushes, but I decided against it.
I think it's. I mean, at least in our country, anyway, it's. I believe that's illegal. You can't do that. Like it's considered illegal. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen. I here's the thing. Like, I'm just trying very hard to just do the old fucking ostrich head in the hole and just barrel through. Because I mean, again, our elections are weird in the sense that, we have this electoral college where each state is, represented by an amount of these electoral college votes, and you need a certain number to become president. And it's weird in the sense that you would think, if you were from the outside looking in, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, I guess New York has a lot of votes, or a lot of these electoral college votes, and maybe even New Jersey, being densely populated as it is, or no, it's like Kansas and Iowa, and these fucking shitbag states that have a lot of control, like Iowa.
What are the swing states this year? Is it always the same swing states?
Yeah, I mean Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida to a certain degree, but here's the thing: New Jersey, I don't think in its history of being a state, I could be dead wrong, but at least in my time that I can recollect, it's always been a Democratic state. So for it to swing, it's highly unlikely. And two, it's like, okay, you win New Jersey, that doesn't mean shit. Like literally, you could win everything else and not New Jersey and still win easily. So it doesn't really matter. Like I feel that's where
I've just looked it up here. According to a YouGov poll of 7 states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's lead has been wiped out in these critical battleground states. I know. Thinking it's going to be 48% of the vote share to Trump's 51%. So you got that to look forward to.
I sure. Round 2.
No, I want to focus on the positives, right? Hopefully, Rishi Sunak and the Tories out of the UK government. Gareth Southgate, hopefully, out of the England managerial role. Chase Owens out of the Grade 1 climax. So I'm just focusing on the positives for now. And whatever else happens after that, who cares?
We'll figure it out, right? Yeah. I mean, look, whatever. I like to keep an optimistic outlook, but let's be very clear. Biden is toast. He's fucking toast.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But New Japan's back, so it's fine. It's a wash.
Right. Exactly. I don't think there's any coincidence there, right? I think it's meant to be.
Yeah, we can't have both.
We can. Oh, whatever. Who cares? We're all going to die anyway. But yeah.
You watched any football?
What did I watch the other day? I watched, but this wasn't even it wasn't the Euros. It was something, I want to say it was MLS or something like that, where the guy did the sneaky thing of hiding behind the goaltender. And then the goaltender thought there was...
Oh, yes, yeah, I saw that one. That was very smart. I like that.
Yeah, I didn't know that was legal, to be honest with you. I was like, how is that possibly legal? But it is. I saw that. No, I haven't really watched a lot of it. Like, it's been a little hectic here in the sense of July 1st is both NBA and NHL free agency signings. So players whose contracts expired and become... I'm sorry, I dropped something. That's why I feel like I'm 500.
Oh, I thought Kazuchika Okada was about to make an entrance. I heard the coin hitting the floor.
No, this is a little fidget thing that I have that I dropped. What was I going to say? I forget. I literally forget what was I saying? What was I saying?
You were talking about why you were not watching Euro 2024.
Well, I mean, it's not by choice, but free agency. So it was a very busy day, hockey-wise and basketball-wise. So the football might have been off my radar a little bit. But I do know England has advanced, correct? They play Switzerland?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, we looked.
Saturday. Switzerland are better coached and have more tactical cohesion than us. But as I said last week, there is a non-zero chance of us just absolutely shithousing our way deep into the tournament. We look terrible, but we just sort of fluked 2 goals against the mighty Slovakia. So I don't know. I mean, the Switzerland one, I expect us to lose because Switzerland just look much better than us. Mm-hmm. But you never know with these international tournaments because there's been some crazy games fairly recently. There was the Turkey-Austria game was absolutely fantastic. Mo Method writes in and says, "Few after today's monumental results. Where do I even start? How about that save in Turkey-Austria? Just unbelievable save from the Turkish goalkeeper in the last second of the game to preserve Turkey's leads." So at the very least, like I can say about the England-Slovakia game, it was exciting. But I was watching it and sort of getting more and more annoyed at Southgate not substituting Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane and thinking, I can't believe he is just doing nothing and just letting this game fall away from us, completely out of control. And then we scored in, basically the last 30 seconds of the game. Yeah. Amazing overhead kick from Jude Bellingham. And I was really annoyed because I kind of made peace. I was like, oh, well, at least it's going to get rid of Southgate and this sufferball tactics. Right. So then what I did, because the game went to extra time, I drove to my local petrol station, which has a Marks and Spencer's little shop. And at 7 p.m, they put their expired stock out on discount. So I thought, you know what? Everyone's going to be watching this terrible game of football. I'm going to go and just hoover up all the discount stock. So I went there, had the game on my phone, and bought a load of discount food and sandwiches and treats and stuff like that for a fraction of the original price. And then, on the way back, Harry Kane scored and we won. So I was laughing. It was a good night for me.
That was a great night for you. Christ. I mean, you fucking hit the jackpot there, pal. I'll tell you what. I did see a lot of the memes of people leaving the stadium and then hearing that they scored and they're trying to get back into the stadium and they're fucked. And they're all like 50-year-old bald fat.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, if you've travelled all the way to Germany, like you've gone abroad to watch a tournament, just at least stay till the final whistle. Just not out of any sort of loyalty to the team, but just in case that happens.
I understand. I really don't feel like I have any room to comment, being that I have flown halfway around the world just to drunk pass out in a fucking chair. So I'm not gonna.
That wasn't out of choice, though.
I mean, listen, things happen. I was having a good time, and things caught up with me a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm you make your own decisions. Now, again, looking at it from afar, you feel like, what a boob. You got to stay to the end. You never know. You never fucking know. And especially traveling all that way too. But again, I'm that same dumbass who fucking did what I did. So who am I to say? But yes, there you go.
I get easily distracted by these videos of the red hot metal ball being placed on various things. Have you seen these?
I think, is it kind of like the equivalent of like the high pressure hydraulic press that breaks things?
Yes, I've got those as well. Yes. My suggestive feed. I managed to get the algorithm away from showing me pictures of
of what?
Of
nudity?
Nudity, yeah, and managed to train it into showing me pictures of, right now, a red hot iron ball being placed on top of a jawbreaker candy.
That's pretty great.
It's fantastic.
That's good.
Looks like one of the eggs from Alien. Whoa! This is so cool.
I love dumb shit like that. I was watching. I'm going to give you two things. One, obviously, my feed has been littered with. Are you familiar with the Hook girl?
Yes, okay. Yeah, Hulk Tour girl, yeah.
I got to be honest with you, I might be in love with her. I might be. Like, I love the Southern accent. I love her just kind of fuck the world kind of attitude, the whole boots thing. Got to admit, I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. So that's, of course, everywhere in every fucking meme possible. I'm trying to think what's the other. Oh, if I say the term Dig Nation. What? You're that big of a fan, huh?
No, it's the hydraulic press crushing a load of cherry tomatoes. It's spectacular. Should we just rebrand as a hydraulic press red hot iron ball?
I'm in. Let's fucking go. Let's do it. Yeah, I could definitely get into that. Are you familiar with if I say Dig Nation? Dig Nation. D-I-G.
What's that?
No idea. Back in the day, are you familiar with the website Dig?
No.
Fuck me. No. Okay, so before Reddit, there was Dig, right? And it was kind of the same concept, right? Except, I don't know, it was new. And it was very, very popular site. And the creator of it.
Did people use that to talk how shit the New Japan Imperial Cast was?
Pretty much, yeah. No, actually, I don't even think we were around for Dig when Dig was a thing. So Dig was probably popular. I was working, so I'll say maybe 2002, maybe. And they had a podcast. So this guy, Kevin Rose, who is Kevin Rose. And this guy, what was his name? Oh, fuck. Alec, was it Alec Albright? Something like that. Albrecht, maybe? I forget. But they did a podcast, and they just talked about like the top stories on Dig for that week. And they would comment. And it's just two guys sitting on a fucking couch, literally sitting on a couch, doing this podcast. And I don't know, man. I loved it. I loved Dig Nation so much. Like, I just fucking thought they were funny, and I don't know. I really enjoyed them. So, anywho, as part of my nightly ritual of going to sleep, and before the ambient kicks in, I will watch a little TV. So Cheryl kind of like, she's like, all right, I'm fucking exhausted. She rolls over, goes to bed. And then I'll watch a little bit more TV, watch some videos that, again, I'm going to care about, and she's not going to give a shit about. And one of them that came up in my feed was this kind of reunion interview. Like, they haven't been around each other for 10 years, maybe. And it just popped up, and I was like, holy shit, it's fucking Kevin Rose. Holy shit, it's good sound. Oh my God. The voices are just like two voices that just stick in my head forever. And I was like, oh my God, they're together. And so this is like 10 o'clock at night, mind you. And I took my Ambien at right around probably like 9:15, right? And I had toothpicks in my eyelids just to fucking stay awake to watch it. And it was so long. It was like an hour and a half long, but it was so worth it. Like, it was really good. So whenever we stop doing this, I can't wait for 15 years after when I'm 97. We can get a reunion. It'll be great. Fantastic.
You live in the glory days of COVID New Japan.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking about? I don't know what got me into this real remember when kind of mood, and we know that's the lowest form of fucking communication, right? Or conversation. Do we still communicate with the dude in Japan? Remember the guy? We talked to him for a long time, and then he just fell off the face of the earth. Do you still talk to him?
What, Manabu?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I haven't talked to him in a million years. I guess he doesn't like me. Yeah.
Well, he communicates, as a lot of, I think, people in Japan do, through the Line app. So unless you've got Line, then yeah, that's pretty much what.
Send a smoke signal. Come on.
He was telling me, actually, because remember I was having to use the Japanese New Japan website, and the results all say things like shrimp hardening and single shrimp hardened. Yes. And so he explained that to me, and he told me that pinning by holding the legs is called ebi gatame in Japanese. So ebi is shrimp or lobster or prawn, and gatame is hold. And pinning without holding the legs is called tai gatame, and tai means body. So that's why when it goes through the Google Translate, it says things like body hardening or shrimp hardening or single shrimp hardening. So
see?
There you go. A little bit of knowledge dropped on us today.
No fucking doubt. See, I'm so glad that you're personable and a nice guy and everything, and you communicate well. Like, because if it were left to me, we would have so many relationships built and then just fade away, like all of mine do. So good. I'm glad. I need
to do better. I need to do better with the maintaining relationships, but I am better at it than you.
You are absolutely
better at it than you. That's the important thing.
I'm fucking the worst. I'm the worst. Like, again, there's like so many threads that I wake up to, and it's just like I just give like emojis after a while, because it's like, I just want people to know I'm still breathing and I care. Like, I do appreciate everything, but it's like you do a better job at the back and forth. Like you got like 2 or 3 texts out of me, and then my battery's drained. I can't do anymore. I just can't have a conversation doing it. I get exhausted. Yeah. So thank God for you. So you do a great job. Great job as always. How's the Twitter? I haven't really checked the Twitter. Are we still hated or loved?
Doing okay
Oh.
with Twitter. I mean, the way I use it now is just solely for my own amusement. So I will mainly post like just shit posts and jokes, and sometimes if I get bored, I'll just deliberately try to annoy certain fan bases. But yeah, I'm
We're doing okay. All
doing
right.
all right. I mean, I'm good at
You
Twitter.
really are.
What do you want from me?
What do you want from me? Talking like me. What do you want from me? All right, very good. So there's that. Who else did we miss back in the days of traveling about? Boy, there's so many great people that we met and meet, and it's just like, I don't know. I wonder if they're. I don't know. I just got in this real, not philosophical, but like,
A little nostalgic.
yeah, and I was just like, I hope everybody's okay. Like, there was one time there was this couple. I want to say they're from Australia. I could be wrong, but they were cool, and I forget their name, so I'm just terrible. I'm just a terrible human being. But they were cool. I remember, like, and I would see them every time we would go, every time, and I'd be like, oh my god, yes. There was this one dude. He was from England, I think, and I forget his name, but I would see him every time we went. And I remember him taking me aside and saying, I will never forget the fucking, when you said there's life before Japan and life after Japan, Tokyo. He said, you're so right. And I remember seeing him in Long Beach too. And I forget his name. But I just see his face. Like I see his face right now. Yeah, there's so many weird things. I don't know. And you know what's weird about that too is like, your phone does that a lot where it's like, oh, this random picture just showed up and and it's like, oh my God, I remember this picture. And I took a picture. We had a meetup at, after the Long Beach show where I got totally fucking killed. Oh, and here's where it all ties together, Joe. Trust me, this all has a fucking purpose. I know it took me a while, but here we are. So on Dignation, they were talking about how they would have these live shows and people would just be so awesome and they would be like, oh, you guys are great, blah, 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 and give them shots, right? And they said exactly what I was thinking. Like, okay, they just did one shot with you, right? But then there's other people that are like, oh, let me get you a shot. And now all of a sudden you've done 8 shots and you're fucked, right? Because all these people are being so nice, and you don't know what to do. Like you can't, I don't know. I didn't know how to say no to a shot. So I just remember being so fucked up in Long Beach at that meetup. And I remember Cheryl getting pissed off at me and leaving the venue. Went back to the hotel. And I was
why she came with, to be honest.
Oh, she was fucking livid, right? She was really talking like, I'm so disappointed in you that I'm thinking about just flying home. Like that's where we were. And I do remember being so fucked up, Joel, that I remember sitting at a table and I looked up and there was literally no one there. No one. It was me sitting in this outdoor venue. And I'm like, okay, well, how the fuck do I get a cab or do I get an Uber? Like, I can't even fucking walk. So I tried walking and there was I could see the hotel. Thank God it was a tall hotel. In the distance, and so I was like, I'm going to walk that way, and like I just remember stopping. There was like this street that had all these shops. It was like a little tiny alleyway, and I just remember sitting in it and thinking, "Oh my God, I'm going to pass out here on the street in Long Beach. This is not good." And then I do remember getting back to the hotel, and then it was downhill from there. Not a good night. Let's put it that way. Good times, good memories. Hey, 22 minutes in. Want to talk a little New Japan Pro Wrestling?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, we're going to start off with a press conference where they've announced a few bits and pieces. First of all, being New Japan and Stardom announcing Wrestle Kingdom Week, so that that will start Sunday, December 29th, where there'll be a Stardom show at Sumo Hall. Thursday, January the 2nd, there'll be a New Japan and Stardom kind of festival event thing. Friday, January 3rd, Wrestle Kingdom 19 kickoff. And also Stardom New Year Dream at the Tokyo Garden Theatre. Then we got Wrestle Kingdom 19 in the Tokyo Dome on January 4th. And on Sunday, we have an announcement for a new event, January 5th, Wrestle Dynasty in Tokyo Dome, which I'm going to come on to later, right? I'm going to save that. We'll stick a pin in that and revisit that when we talk about Forbidden Door, because I think a lot of those things tied together. We've got questions about that. And then Monday, January 6th, we've got New Year Dash at the Otaku Gymnasium. And interestingly here, with an added caveat, New Japan President Tanahashi also announced a reorganization of the IWGP governing body for title matches and tournaments within New Japan. And that the IWGP committee will now be composed of former IWGP champions as well as New Japan executives, and there'll be further announcements soon about the members of the committee and its commitment to wrestlers and officiating in New Japan events.
Wow.
What do you make of that?
Okay. Well, at least all right, let's do the dates first. Let's do one. It is if you're a pro wrestling fan, that's the week you want to get to Tokyo, obviously. Because not only New Japan, and it feels like a definite strengthening of Stardom's presence for that week. And I'm very happy to hear that they did not get rid of Dash, because I do like Dash, and I like the concept of Dash. Past couple of years have been a little bit lackluster, but okay, I still like the concept of it, so I'm glad they didn't get rid of that. No, I think a lot of people look forward to these summer months because they got their eye on the end of the year, make travel plans and all of that. So they know well in advance that New Japan's taking care of them for if you're a fan of the product, there'll be plenty of New Japan Pro Wrestling that you can go to. So that's a thumbs up. The committee, on paper, that sounds awesome. Truth be told. Now, if it's a legitimate thing, if it's a legitimate governing body that helps them in their booking decisions and or title situation, do they recommend contenders for the title? I don't know. Who knows?
I'm seeing this as, Tanahashi was saying, like, there's going to be less interference. It seems like that is going to give them like a kayfabe reason for a reduction in interference rather than just sort of phasing it out quietly. But I also thought this could be a change in the booking committee. And I was thinking, like, which former IWGP champions or people in the business might be involved in this. Because it does feel, as we'll come and talk to shortly, that like a Bob Sapp, Brock Lesnar, Ibushi, Evil, all sitting around the table, right, lads? So we've got to do something here. But yeah, it to me could serve two purposes there. One, give us a reason for the less interference, and two, maybe just be a little bit more transparent with who the voices are in the room, because it does feel that there's been a change in booking philosophy in recent times. So I wonder if this is a factor here.
Could be. And here's the thing, though. Every time that they have one of these things, everyone's always looking at it kind of like, oh, okay, this is a pro wrestling company. We got it. But while there is an outwardly kind of face of change, this press conference, this is going to be the face of change. No, you're exactly right. There absolutely is like a course correction. It feels like it's moving in the right direction, and it's noticeable. Like I don't think anyone can sit here and say that they don't see it and feel it and recognize the fact that New Japan kind of woke up from a slumber. And yeah, like I said, if this is just a pro wrestling face they want to put on it, great. Whatever they want to do. I would think you would have the usual suspects. Your Ricky Choshus and your fucking Yuji Nagatas and Tenzan could probably fill a role, but also, you could have like, who the fuck? Scott Norton. Why not? Give him a call. See what he's up to. Maybe, not that he was a former champion, mind you, but you could say like, what? Oh my God, I'm having a senior moment. Who does the blood sport? Josh Barnett. Like anything that they want to do to put a a face to the change, I'm okay with. Totally fine. I don't think it impacts a damn thing, to be quite honest with you. But it's just something that people can point to and say, see, there's change, without having to do a 2-hour podcast every week, right? Like, it's just one of those things that this is the face of change. And if that is what it is, I'm totally fine with it. And even if it is a little bit more influential than we tend to believe a pro wrestling press conference can be in these situations, I'm okay with that as well. I just know that for where we are right now to where we were this time last year, I think it's night and day. Absolute night and day.
Where would you like to go next, Damon? Do you want to do Forbidden Door, or would you like to do New Japan Soul and G1 qualifiers?
You know, I'd like to stay positive. Well, let's get Forbidden Door out of the way. Let's
eat our vegetables.
Let's eat our vegetables, right? Because here's the thing, like it is a tale of two cities, if you will, in the sense of, I turned off Forbidden Door and I was like, this is everything that I kind of didn't want, right? This is the problem kind of encapsulated, and then this week, I'm like so positive and so, I don't know, it feels like truly fresh air is being breathed into your lungs.
No, stop talking about the good things. We've got to talk about the rubbish first.
Rubbish first. Let's take our medicine. Let's do it. Lead the way.
I don't know. To me, I said on Twitter, I'm not interested in any of the Forbidden Door discourse because it's not a New Japan show. It's an AEW show, and they're borrowing New Japan talent for it. So to me, there's absolutely no reason to get upset about anything that's happening with Forbidden Door because it's not our promotion. I don't think it's particularly indicative of New Japan booking, and the real story is what's going on in Japan with all the exciting deliciousness. But a lot of New Japan fans prior to Forbidden Door were, I don't know, feeling that the company's being disrespected or overlooked. I didn't feel that at all. I mean, to me, that's what Tony Khan wants to book for the US crowd. That's fine. But it's of very little interest to me. And that's not a complaint. It's just not to my taste because by all accounts, the show seemed to be relatively successful. People liked it. People enjoyed the cameos of the New Japan wrestlers, but it's not for me.
Yeah, and I'm in full agreement. And to the tune of, I know it may seem weird, but like I'm fully capable of tuning that out. Because even though our world title changed hands on that show, and even though there was even more New Japan Pro Wrestling representation on this show, it still didn't feel like it had a lot to do with New Japan and what's going on there. Like, it just felt like two completely separate entities. It really did. Not only in like the matches themselves, but how people were presented and how even the show is presented. Like, I don't know. I just felt like there was like it was almost the polar opposites of pro wrestling, and pro wrestling can fill in a lot of gaps in that point A to point B. There's a taste and a style and a presentation method for every single person who enjoys anything that falls under the category of pro wrestling, right? We know that. And if you enjoyed it, awesome. You had a great night, right? Fantastic. If you kind of were like, this might not be for me. Okay. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. But know that like what you got on Sunday is really a completely different realm than what's going on in Japan. It really feels like they're two separate things. And which makes it a little bit easier for you as a fan to say, okay, this isn't for me. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to like, if you're like, if you're sighing, if you know more,
you don't have to watch the world title changing hands on this
right, and that's crazy to say, right? But you kind of don't, right? You knew it was going to change hands. I mean, and here's the thing too: you can parachute in and be like, all right, I just got to see the title change just because I need to be able to see a title change. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's an important thing. If you're a fan of a company, you want to see the world title matches, and especially if you have a strong feeling that there's going to be a change, you probably want to see it. So there's nothing wrong with just being like, all right, I just want to see that. There's nothing wrong with people saying, okay, you know what? I just want to see Will because I like Will and I think Will fucking performs like no one else. And Swerve, it felt like that was a great match. Like, that was legitimately a modern take of pro wrestling at one of its highest levels. Like, it was
good. Yeah, I want to start with that because Matthew writes in and says, "What were your thoughts on Swerve Ospreay? If you watched it, more House of Torture finishes for fallen Shin Nihon heroes." I agree with you, Damon. I thought the match was excellent, and I've spoken on this podcast. It must have been about 3 or 4 years ago. Well, you remember when Swerve just did that little whistle stop in New Japan Strong, and he was so good, even on that. And I was just like, wow, there's something special, right? They've got something here. Mm-hmm. And he never wrestled for New Japan again. But you can see, and obviously a huge part of this is being able to wrestle alongside someone like Ospreay who can bring out the best in everyone. But that was like 98% of, classic match of the year caliber. Just brilliant. It was exciting. And I'd got no investment in the story, but I thought it was really, really terrific wrestling. Then it went all sort of US wrestling, Amoresu nonsense with the staring at the hands and, I was going to stab this guy with a screwdriver, but why am I so violent? And all the, the theatrics and staggering around. And it kind of lost me there. But for the most part, I thought it was fantastic. So it is nice to be able to sort of dip into that and see someone like Will Ospreay, who I still really enjoy watching, wrestling fresh opponents. So, I'm not watching that thinking like, oh God, I wish he was still with New Japan. Like, it's for me, nice and fresh and good to see him doing cool stuff in other companies, even if the way they present it is not necessarily to my taste.
Absolutely, 100%, 1,000%. And I can sit here and I can complain about, Okada being, arguably one of the greatest.
That's very funny.
He does have
we've got a lot of questions about that as well.
He does have decent comedic timing. I mean, we can't deny that, right?
Did you hear what Chris Charlton said about him on today's broadcast?
Yeah, the money thing. Did I hear that right?
Okay, right. Well, let's get into that now because we've got some questions about Okada. So this was in reference to this 6-man tag match with the Young Bucks and Okada against the Acclaimed and Tanahashi. So Andrew says, how does it feel that possibly the last ever time Okada and Tanahashi interacted in a wrestling match was a comedy match that ended with Okada running scared from Billy Gunn? And there was zero reaction from the crowd to Okada versus Tanahashi. And I think that's probably fair because we've seen it loads already. And to me, it doesn't feel special anymore. And it felt kind of, I don't know, dare I say cowardly to be like, oh, look, Okada Tanahashi, you like this, don't you? Rather than trying to book something fresh and exciting for Okada. But Okada doing the any percent speed run to US wrestling nonsense is extremely funny. Not that I'm blaming him, but him catching strays from Chris Charlton, who called him a meme wrestler, spitting out a tired catchphrase every week.
Right. And he's like, well, it's amazing. We get a couple bucks and help people change, or a couple dollars. I mean, look, I'm sure that was tongue in cheek because look. Let's be very truthful. If Okada ever got wind of that and came back, he'd fucking kick his teeth in.
Oh, yeah, it's got that the kayfabe plausibility to it.
Yeah, let's not get carried away and think that was a legit shot at the guy.
Even though it was.
I mean, listen, all he's doing is
this shot was very good at that, just taking legitimate shots and being able to hide behind the kayfabe.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, fine, whatever, I'm fine with it. But yeah, it is. Look, it is what it is. And again, do I have to watch it? Nope, I don't have to watch that. And I could watch it and be like, oh, this what happened to this feud, or this legendary program, and now we've know what it felt like to me. Back in the day, Sting and Flair was something that people salivated over. The idea of those two guys getting into a ring, and of course it's pro wrestling, so they're going to milk it forever. And toward even the middle end ish, you're just kind of like, ugh, this is not what I want. Do I want to see a 50-year-old, 60-year-old Flair and his man tits bleeding all over Sting, who is a shell of his former self? And I don't know. But here's the thing, that interaction will happen forever. Like like we haven't seen the last of that. And I'm not saying that it's going to make the idea in people's eyes make the feud more important. It's probably not. It's going to ding it and scratch it and take a lot of the shine off of it. Okay, you can expect that happens to every great money-making feud. They find ways to ding it up, scratch it up, fuck it up. I want to watch it come down. I'm doing literally 9 Inch Nails. Yeah, I mean that's been done from the history of time in pro wrestling, so not too concerned about it. But
let me ask you this, right? Do you think Okada will be involved in anything exciting or meaningful at Wrestle Dynasty? Because I do believe that what we reported about Okada not being keen on working with young talent and all that stuff and all that bad blood, I do believe that is real, and all the evidence points that way. But as we know in wrestling, time and money heals all wounds. So could you foresee a situation come January 5th where we do get something like, let's say, Okada versus Tsuji or Okada versus Umino or something like that?
I don't know. I think he'll be massively prominent on the show. I can't imagine him not being. That being said,
imagine if he's in another tag match with Tanahashi.
Oh boy!
Oh my god!
Oh my Lord Jesus! But that being said, Joe, I can't imagine him going to the Dome and putting over a young guy. I just can't see it happening. Now they could announce tomorrow. Yep, singles match. Kazuchika Okada against, put whoever you want in that role in that match, singles match. I doubt it though. So I'll say that he'll wrestle somebody that's pretty established, but I just don't see him putting over a young guy at the Dome. I just don't. Just given the history, like if I'm looking at it from that perspective, I just don't see it happening. But I think he'll have a prominent place on the show. Absolutely.
Okay, let's dig into this Wrestle Dynasty a bit more. So, or as it's been labelled on the Discord, Manifest Dynasty. The Whites are taking over, Damon. So a lot of questions on this. Troy says, how much involvement do you think the other 4 promotions will have? So AEW, Stardom, CMLL, ROH, Wrestle Dynasty. Fraser said, what's your conservative estimate for crowd number on January 5th? Morning Progress says, following the Forbidden Door post-show and News of Dynasty, is there any opening even to pretend like Zack Sabre Jr. isn't winning the G1, the title at Wrestle Kingdom, and then head... All right, Scrumpy, calm down, mate. Wow. It's all right. It's okay. Come in. He's very excited about Wrestle Dynasty.
Yeah.
Right, where was I? And then headlining on January 5th against Mox or Ospreay, when we know the main event match has to be signed off by Khan. Mac19 says, I'm wondering why Wrestle Dynasty is on January 5th. If Okada, Kenny, Will, etc. are on Wrestle Dynasty, does this make Wrestle Kingdom an afterthought, or are we getting back-to-back highly prominent shows? Multiverse A says, is it conceivable that Mox versus Shota or Okada versus Yota or another young gun could main event Wrestle Dynasty? Also, would the match and possible victory for the young guys be seen as important if the matches would have happened on Wrestle Kingdom? So I've thrown a lot at you there, but just give me your sort of general thoughts on what you expect for this Wrestle Dynasty show. what sort of number you think it will draw, and what kind of matches do you think we'll see? Like, and do you think it will sort of interfere or play into Wrestle Kingdom booking, or is it going to be completely separate from that?
All right. So one, I think the idea of booking 2 shows is, it's hard for them to walk away from that, in the sense of, they have the dates available, they have the building available, and why not, right? I think people are excited to travel once again. I think people are excited to have the idea of 2 pretty big shows back to back consecutive nights that I truly feel will have a bit of a different feel from one to the other. I was a little concerned that Wrestle Kingdom might be taking a back seat, but if I'm being truthful, I think I got over that pretty quickly. I really did. So the idea of people traveling, the idea of people making that a destination once again. And here's the thing too. One of the biggest complaints when it came from New Japan fans when they were doing Double Dome shit was they really didn't have a lot to draw from. And this is even at their peak of talent. It felt like, God, they could just make one spectacular fucking show at Wrestle Kingdom, and why are we doing 2 nights and all this stuff? Well, okay, now they can condense everything great about New Japan Pro Wrestling into Wrestle Kingdom. Excellent. That's what we've been, asking and wanting and somewhat screaming for. And now we have the secondary second show that feels a lot more Forbidden Door-ish. I think that's a safe statement. That can kind of scratch both itches, in the sense of, we have a dedicated New Japan Pro Wrestling big show, and we have a potential big show with, and again, I hate to use the term dream matches again, but the prospect is there. The likelihood of that happening, I think, is higher because of where it is and what's involved. That's not even to say that they're not going to have some involvement in Wrestle Kingdom. Yes, they could. But if they were smart, I think keeping a bit of a line in the sand is a really smart idea. There's nothing wrong with this Wrestle Dynasty being a joint venture of the best of pro wrestling. I got no problem with that whatsoever. Will we see all great singles matches? I think the likelihood of it happening is much greater than, say, if it were held in Dallas, Texas, or if this were held in Toronto, or if this were held in Kansas City. Like, I think we have a definite possibility. If you look back in time and in history at big dome shows that involved joint promotions, there's been stuff that has absolutely landed, and there's been stuff that's been like, a little weak. But I think there's a sense of excitement and some, interpromotional danger, we'll call it, that occurred. Times have changed. Politics have changed. The business has changed. But even back then, when there was, so much politicking going on, I mean, look, one of those joint shows, Joel, back in the day, that I think was originally supposed to be headlined by, what was headlined, I think it was like the Vader Hansen, was it? It was supposed to be Terry Gordy versus Hogan as a main event, but that got nixed. Politics being the major issue. So to answer the question, I think that the promotions that are involved in this Wrestle Dynasty have a little bit more working synergy than we did in the past. Right? We had to have fucking Vince involved, on some of these shows, and All Japan, and just a lot of FMW, just a lot of fucking hands in the pot. Whereas this it feels like there's a little bit more working synergy. To answer your question in a long-winded way, which I'm very good at, is I like the idea of 2 shows. I like the idea of them being separate. And I like the idea of the possibility of big time, and again, dream matchups being a possibility at this Wrestle Dynasty show. I'm excited for it. I think that, and add to that, Dash still being in the mix, and add to the fact all the other ancillary events, Stardom shows, and other New Japan shows that are happening. I don't know. This could be a real exclamation point in the relaunch of this fucking promotion, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think there's a way they can do it to make it really good. Basically, presenting the Forbidden Door concept, but with the style of New Japan and the presentation of New Japan, and hopefully sort of leaning more on the sort of dream matches that we want to see rather than with the sort of US wrestling flavor, which is not to my taste, and I think it will have to be sort of presented more to the taste of the Japanese audience. Although obviously they will want to hoover up some of the foreigners, the tourists who might be visiting for Wrestle Kingdom as well. I don't expect it to do as big a number as January 4th because January 4th is January 4th. It's got the date, it's got the prestige, it's got the branding. But I don't know what would be a good number for that. Maybe about 10, 15K. I think 15K would probably be a good number for that.
I think it'll do better than that.
Again, it depends.
I think it'll do better.
It depends what the matches are, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it'll do better than 15. I was shooting at like 25. You don't think it'll do at least 25?
Well, what did they do for Wrestle Kingdom this year? It was not much over that, was it? It was 26,000. No, that was Wrestle Kingdom 17. Wrestle Kingdom 18, 27,422. Yeah. So that was a one-night Wrestle Kingdom.
Right.
So I personally don't think it will be that high. But then again, if they do get some dream matches, who knows? But I'm optimistic that it will be good and they'll be able to construct an attractive-looking card, not just with AEW talent, but also CMLL talent. So I think there could be good stuff there, and I think there is a way to do it where Wrestle Kingdom is not depending on that. I hope there's not some sort of double gold dash nonsense. I think there's a way that they can do it where they can get those matches booked in way ahead of time so that people can buy their tickets and make their arrangements for it without it being like, oh, you have to wait and see what happens on January 4th to see what happens on January 5th. I mean, you could have a bit of that with the KPW nonsense or whatever, but I think you want to get your big matches locked in far enough in advance for it not to step on the toes of Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah. Again, like I said, if they can find a way to have their show, have their cake and eat it too, then I think it could be a win for everybody. I don't think they have to be interlinked. You know what I mean? Like the shows don't have to have perfect synergy. Like there could be guys that work Wrestle Dynasty that don't work Wrestle Kingdom. How about that novel concept?
You could do like a little tournament in the autumn or winter to decide who's going to get the chance to challenge for the AEW championship.
Right.
So that can be totally separate from whoever IWGP title holder is and whoever the G1 Climax winner is, and give all your rather prominent heavyweights something to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as we've learned in the past week or two, the idea of having matches that mean something, it makes pro wrestling so much better. Like, again, it doesn't even always have to be about titles. Like the idea of wrestling to achieve something, having matches to achieve something for bigger and grander things, like that makes pro wrestling fantastic. And they can recreate that for these shows. So again, I think it's an empty notebook. It really is. It's an empty notebook. They can be as creative as they want to be. They can be keep it separate as much as we can. And truth be told, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. In fact, I encourage it. I guess my only requirement would be I would really want Wrestle Kingdom to be New Japan centric, New Japan focused, not have too much involvement from outsiders, because we can have a fantastic Wrestle Kingdom without them. And then if we want to have that interaction, the cross promotional stuff, all that stuff on Wrestle Dynasty, I'm all for it. I think that's a fantastic way to go.
Okay, right. Other stuff from Forbidden Door then. I mean, I didn't see the pre-show, so I've not seen any of the stuff involving like Ishii or Gabe Kidd or the LIJ 6-man, but I've heard they were pretty good. But right, what else? So Danielson versus Shingo, that was really good. Zack against Orange Cassidy was about what you'd expect. I thought that was decent too. I thought
I think
Stephanie McCann looked fantastic. Pretty much, I think she.
Oh no.
She outshone Mercedes Moné. Maybe that was by design. She definitely looked way better than Moné out there. And we've been singing Stephanie McCare's praises for seems like years on this podcast, so that's absolutely no surprise that she knocked out the park. But I suppose we have to grasp the nettle here and talk about IWGP World Heavyweight Championship changing hands. So Tetsuya Naito defeating Jon Moxley in 17 minutes and 4 seconds. And it was bad, wasn't it? It was bad.
It was not... like I hate to say it, but like I'm totally okay with no more Forbidden Door. I'm totally like I don't know. Like it was. I really wanted to get excited from it, and I really wanted to spend my Sunday night watching pro wrestling that I felt comfortable watching. Like I knew I was going to have a decent time. And trust me, the show itself, here's what it was. Last week, when I said, on paper, it's a really solid pro wrestling show. And it delivered in the sense of it's modern day US presented pro wrestling. And that has both good things and bad things. And I guess maybe I was a little bit more fixated on the stuff that annoyed me with it. Everything that we talked about, the looking at the hands and the whole, treating pro wrestling as if it is a drama series as opposed to a sport, I guess. And incorporating a lot of the writing elements and the let's take a look backstage at someone staring at a TV kind of stuff. It's not for me. Not for me. But I think the quality of matches and the I think Will and Swerve were that match was fucking great. It was really fucking great modern pro wrestling.
You are really avoiding having to talk about Naito Mox with everything in your power.
All right, so here's the problem. Here's really the problem. As much as we sit and talk about how great Jon Moxley can be and what kind of year he's had and all of that, and again, there were times we were left scratching our head when it came to why would they even fucking give the title to him? Okay, whatever. Look, I don't know if it's Naito. I don't know if it's Moxley. I don't know if it's a combination of the two. There's just something not connecting with me with those two in the ring together. Look, people are pointing fingers at Naito, saying that, oof, this guy's lost a step or three. Mox isn't really a guy that you're going to want anything other than a wild brawl from. And I thought the crowd was kind of flat too. So, truth be told, I don't think this match did anybody any favors other than getting the title off of Mox and bringing it back home. Like, that's really it. Which leads me to, like, what was the point of all this, once again? But, yeah, I'm actually really kind of glad that at least that chapter is over. Because if it continued, then I would have deep questions about the seriousness of this change of direction. It had to be done. They did it, and we move on. The match was okay, shaky at times, but yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody was expecting fucking, a match of the year contender, and I think people were kind of hoping for make it good. I think good was the bar, and I think they hit good. But yeah, I mean, I trust me, I had more questions about Naito coming out of this than anything else. Like, how's he doing? Like, what's his story right now? How are we feeling about him? And I don't know if I have all the answers right now. That match did me no favors in answering those type of questions.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it was just bad chemistry. I'm not going to completely point the finger at either guy, but it reminded me sort of in 2018, the Naito Suzuki feud, which just did not work. Just the dynamics of it were all off, and it felt like a similar thing here. Like the crowd dynamics, the match layout was just very weird to do the way they did it in front of the US crowd, and I don't know why they did it in the States anyway. They should have just done it at Dominion or a big show in Japan. I think that layout would have worked in front of a Japanese crowd, but yeah, Mox doesn't look very happy. He looks checked out. If rumours are to be believed, he's not enjoying his time in AEW and doesn't enjoy having to work with writers. And he's just desperate to do anything apart from the AEW weekly television. But Andrew says, was that Mox reign the worst reign with a cursed new belt? Jay's is the only one comparable, and he had Tama Tonga as his big feud instead of Shota. And Ed said, did New Japan drop the ball with the Mox run? Could or should they have used him better to elevate the young guys? I think on paper, the plan was fine to have him work with guys like Ren and Shota, but it just didn't quite come off. I don't know how much I can blame him for that. He didn't. They fell short of even that match he did against Great O'Khan last year. It felt like he brought more energy and more creativity to the table with that Great O'Khan match than he did with any of these title matches. I think the best one was the Evil one. I don't know, maybe he just enjoys and feels more energetic wrestling in Japan than he does in the States. But yeah, I think we're going to have to... I don't want to say chalk this one off as a failed experiment, but something that I think was worth trying, worth kicking the tires, but under-delivered was less than the sum of its parts. But yeah, like you, I think the questions are about Naito here, because I'm a bit facetious when I say he's washed. He's clearly not at the level that he was 2017, 2018. And that's obvious. I'm not exactly spitting out a hot take with that. But we do have to ask what's next for him. I'm not saying, get the belt off him ASAP and he should never be a main eventer again. Because you do have to balance the fact that he cannot do those big work rate stars matches as well as he used to. But he is still New Japan's biggest drawing star. Yeah. Right, that's something we cannot deny, and John Carroll's been talking about this a lot. Like, it's having this argument that first of all, a lot of people are overstating the Naito in-ring decline. But even if you do think he's completely washed, absolutely cooked, he is helping New Japan draw superior crowds this year with him as the top guy than last year, even after New Japan have lost Okada and Ospreay for what that's worth. Right. So it's a fine line to balance, isn't it, between treating this guy who can't really do the tippy-toppy matches anymore, but is also still selling quite a lot of tickets. I think we need to have a clear and relatively speedy transition of power, and I would probably say by next year's Wrestle Kingdom. But the question is to whom? And that is another question I'm going to ask you in a bit about the state of the New Japan main event scene. Okay. But I think we need to be thinking about who is Naito anointing as the next guy, and I think it should be happening at next year's Wrestle Kingdom.
Okay. I'm under the assumption, and again, there has been nothing that has been communicated to me. This is my speculation, 150,000%. But what if Naito, they decided, New Japan decided to say, okay, we're going to take this title off of you because let's be very truthful. You can't deliver these main events that even you want to. Physically, it's going to be a tough uphill battle for you. We're going to take this title off. Who are we going to give it to? We have no one, right? Like you look back, how long was Mox's run? 6 months, 8 months? How long was it? I forget. It wasn't even that long, to be honest with you. Chicago, you want it. It feels like it was 8 years ago. Anyway, so now we have this guy who's internationally red hot at the time. Maybe a little bit cooled off from his peak, but still pretty hot. We're going to give him the belt, right? And we're going to take it off Naito. And so, and again, let's go back. What did Naito do for that time? Not a lot. Hopefully got healthier. Hopefully, right? When the time was right, okay, we're coming back with the Forbidden Door. We'll do the title change there. Like it just felt like it. Like when I sit here and I shrug my shoulders and I say, "Okay, what the fuck was that for?" To me, the biggest one was we need to fill in some time, really, because we have people that aren't ready for the title. We have people that clearly aren't there yet, and they don't trust to hold the title. They could have given it to Evil, maybe, but okay, they didn't. Or they could have had Naito hold on to the title for X amount of months, not do the title change, and okay, hope for the best. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they could have danced around it. Who knows, right? But I think the safe thing was, okay, we'll take the title off of them. We have no one that we really feel super confident that we can give it to. We got an international, dare I say, superstar that we can put the title on, and we can tread some water for a little bit. And he can have some matches against some young guys, and hopefully they'll get a little bit of a rub from him in a losing fashion to be able to say, okay, we're taking next steps and what have you. And I'm sure the Chicago house, definitely they're thinking, okay, if we could have one, maybe another, maybe a third, with this kind of house, that would be awesome. I mean, it wasn't the case. I don't think Long Island was anywhere near a sellout, but maybe that was it. I mean, maybe this was all just to buy time, possibly. Is it the worst title reign, like of the heavyweight IWGP heavyweight era? No, but I think
whose was worse,
right? But that's I'm literally like to me, not a lot of them stand out, quite frankly. Like what's been the best run so far? Will? Probably Will, right?
I can't even remember who he defended it against. It was very short, right?
It wasn't long.
He won it, great match against Shingo, and then ended up. I think he defended against Ibushi and then vacated it because of his neck injury.
His injury, yeah. The title's cursed. Let's be very frank.
Yes,
but there hasn't been anything that's been particularly blow away with the upgrade of this title. So I don't think it's the worst. I don't think it's the best. I think it falls safely in the middle. And like I said, maybe this was just a case of just buying time.
Okay, well, I mean, let's just quickly touch on the state of the New Japan main event scene because there's been a lot of discourse about that online. And Yeah, there have been some good points made on both sides. So David Bentley Fart says, except for Naito and Tanahashi, every G1 winner since 2010 is no longer with New Japan. Has there been a time with such thin main event talent? What happens if the young guys can't reach the heights expected of New Japan main eventers? Bloody Money says, who's your favourite to win the G1 Climax 34? And Gui says, if you could book your Wrestle Kingdom main event now, with that being the match that would most excite you personally, disregarding what would Gedo actually do or what looks like it's going to or can happen, what would it be? And you got the rest of the year to build towards it. So I do think there is a problem because we don't have that clearly anointed next guy. I think out of the Reiwa guys, Tsuji and Shota are the closest, but they're still not quite there yet. Will they get there in the next 6 months? Possibly, but it still feels like there's a lot of work to be done there. Zack Sabre Jr., I think, is another option, but is he a guy that I can see main eventing a Wrestle Kingdom and selling lots of tickets at the Tokyo Dome? I don't know either. So that's why there's a lot of question marks for me around this G1. And gun to my head, I've said before, I think the two options are probably Zack or Shota. Or if they want to get really bold, then Konosuke Takeshita is there, right? If there is somehow, and this is me purely fantasy booking, like if there is some way where you can sweet talk this guy into coming over to New Japan permanently or semi-permanently, that is the play. Because aside from that, then there are guys that I think are more likely to get that G1 win and the spot of Wrestle Kingdom, but they come with quite heavy asterisks for me.
I think they could put any one of the guys that you mentioned in a position to catch fire and go. There has to be a commitment to one guy. And I don't know if we've had that yet. It seems like we've had different people kind of push hard on the gas, hit the brake, push hard, hit the brake. And that, again, that might be just learning and getting more experience, et cetera, et cetera. But I truly believe that the guys that you mentioned, that if you just fucking put them in the frying pan, let's go. Let's give them a reason to be large. Give them a reason to have people think of them. And this is not about wins and losses. It's more about positioning them in a fashion that that people care, right? And you could do the same thing with Zack. Maybe even easier with Zack in the sense that he already has this resume of New Japan Cup wins and established definitive wins over big names and big stars. Like, the problem is that all that you're needing is the spark between whomever they're deciding, right? Like, all these guys are flammable. Let's put it that way. And all that you need is to give them a reason for them to be fighting and people to care. Like, you could sit there and fantasy book to the cows come home, and people might not care. If you give them a reason to care, an angle, a purpose, whatever you call it, and it can be over and above just the title. The title, if they're built properly, should be the main reason for people to wrestle. But there can also be underlying things. It's pro wrestling. We can be creative and make that happen. And I think all of those guys that you mentioned are, again, flammable. All you need is the reason for them to get together and build toward that. When do you build toward that? Well, G1's a perfect reason to create that, right? It's built in where you're having lots and lots of singles matches and lots of opportunity for things to occur to make people care, right? And it doesn't take much. Like, it doesn't take, WWE type supernatural vignette, crazy. You don't need that. You just need people on a human and emotional level to give a fuck. Like, that's all that you need. Now, I say that sometimes that's easier said than done, but that's all you need. I think, to me, the idea of bringing in the people that they have, G1, there's really not a ton of outsiders except one that really sticks out like a sore thumb to me, right? And that's the guy that you want to build around. New Japan's had a lot of guts recently. And again, we could sit here and speculate on, let's make this happen as this guy who is non-beatable, indestructible, whatever. Just make him seem like a fucking big deal so that when he does lose at the Dome to a guy who we're building the future around, it means something. Yeah, I mean, that's the play for me. Will they do that? I'm going to give you a solid maybe, because right now it seems like they're doing the right things in every other facet. I don't know. We could go that route. But if they wanted to go Zach and a young guy, they could do that easily, right? Again, going back, they just need to make flammable wrestlers and ignite them. That's really all they have to do.
Well, I think if I've got the book, then here's what's happening. I have mentioned this before. You have Zach get a win over Naito in the blocks, and then not win the G1, and then challenge for the IWGP title in October at Sumo Hall. Okay. Win it. So Zach is your champion going into Wrestle Kingdom, and he defends it at Wrestle Kingdom against your G1 Climax winner, Taichi. So we do Taichi versus Zach, main event at the Tokyo Dome. So that's what people care about, Damon. But I do want to read this tweet thread from Booze Leprechaun, who I think sums up a lot of the key points here about this main event scene and the issue. So she says the overall concern over the main event scene isn't new, just now magnified for the non-sicklers to see after the shit show Mox reign helped no one get over. New Japan ground Naito and Ibushi into dust, rang what last drops of blood out of Tanahashi during the pandemic while Okada dogged it, which in a vacuum is not optimal but necessary, except at the same time we had White flight to AEW, Great Okan's class basically vanish, LA Dojo not live up to expectations, and the young lion classes after Great Okan's clearly not being ready. There's a talent gap that should be bridged between Naito and Tanahashi to Shota et al. By guys like Okada, Ospreay, and Jay White, except that all went to AEW, and the remaining mid-card isn't strong enough to step up. Kid and Zack Sabre Jr. could or should be that now, but I don't trust New Japan. The only thing I will disagree with Boots there is I trust them now. You've won back my trust. And yeah, like I said, Takeshita could be the guy to bridge that gap if you can. But the guy who's going to fix everything, who I'm anointing as the savior who's going to make all these problems go away, is Oiwa, who's looks absolutely tremendous over in Nurse. So we're going to get the Oiwa shock come New Beginning when he dethrones Naito, and he's going to be the next ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
That's
so
fucking
there
good.
you go. You can have that.
I mean, she brings up good points. I mean, there's no doubt. But this is not a new thing. I guess the frustrating part is that it feels like we've had this is a long time coming. Whereas, again, a year ago, 2 years ago, these conversations were littered with, let's be honest, it was a dark cloud. And now it feels like, okay, like the sun is shining and the birds are chirping. And while we might still have that feeling, like we know that there is a pot at the end of the rainbow, and we're sliding down the hill. We're sliding down the rainbow, or we're not climbing the rainbow. We're on the downward slope. And it feels refreshing. Do I trust them 100% though, Joel? Maybe not 100%, but I'll tell you what, they're doing everything in their power. And I have to listen, it's fun to fucking shit on things, right? It always get a nice little chuckle. But the truth of the matter is, these past couple of weeks, and again, we have years of, what the fuck are we doing? It feels good to turn off a show and be like, man, they fucking nailed it. They nailed it. And while I don't have 100% trust in it, it does feel good that, it feels like they recognize the problems, they recognize the challenges, and they're doing the right things to correct and right the ship.
Now, interestingly enough, so Booze sent that tweet saying that she didn't trust New Japan yesterday, but today tweets into the show whispering, "Are we back?
Oh,
Are are we back?
Uh-oh.
They might have won her over. I think they won quite a few people over with the booking of this brilliant show that they had at Korakuen Hall, where we waited like an hour and a half to finally talk about the good stuff. I mean, God bless Korakuen Hall, Damon, because it's just nothing hits quite like a hot show in front of the raucous, loyal Shin-Nihon freaks at Korakuen Hall. And I thought today's show was a low-key show of the year candidate. And all the stuff we've been talking about, I think there's, plenty of smoke here that we may have new bookers or at least new voices in the room. All these Tanahashi comments about this committee, but just what feels like, in general, a sharp change in direction compared to where we were in the dogshit days following New Beginning. This feels like a complete 180 on that. And I really feel, without getting into specifics, obviously we're going to talk about the G1 qualification matches themselves, but this feels now like it's New Japan getting their own house in order, putting their best foot forward. This is bold booking. It's confident booking. And this playing tournament, it's just been an absolute home run. So much so that actually makes me angry, David, as to why they've never done it before, because it seems like such an obvious thing to do. But to me, it's the perfect signifier of the changing of the guard and a new era. That's the vibes I'm getting here.
This was arguably my favorite show of the year. I'm telling you the truth. Everything, even the fucking wild, House of Torture LIJ brawl, like that didn't. That was it was almost like a taste of a sorbet. It was just like a nice, crazy palate cleanser to get you ready for. Okay, now that the shithousery, as we like to say, has ended, let's get down to let's get down to business. I was I was shocked, thrilled, excited. I fed off of that crowd's energy. That is the first time in a real long time when I looked at that Korakuen crowd and that ringside area, and they were fucking having it. They were up for it. Like, it was like they were in the same boat as us, almost, in the sense of, wow, here we fucking go. Not a title on the line, Joel. Not a title on the line. Everything was about getting into G1. Not G1, getting into G1. What you've accomplished. One, you have matches that people gave a fuck about with people who, again, big names, maybe lower names, but like making moves for themselves, getting big, fat, massive wins in matches that had importance. Every one of those matches was important. Every one of those matches had a purpose. I gotta tip my cap to the we'll call them the old timers. Why not? I gotta tip my cap because there could have been a lot of, I ain't fucking doing that, brother. Right? There could have been a lot of that. Didn't feel like it at all. In fact, it looked like they had fun putting over the young talent. How about that? How about that? And when I say young talent, I'm including YOSHI-HASHI in there, knowing full well that he is not young, but you get my point. Every match meant something. You also made G1 more important. Or let me take that back. Not more important. You heated it up. You put it back on the frying pan and made people give a fuck once again about G1. We're fighting to get into the premier event for not only New Japan, but for a lot of pro wrestling fans, right? You heated that up and you made that more relevant and more important just by having people go out there and bust their ass to get into the tournament. How about that? How about that craziness? Wow. Revolutionary. We made things feel important again. So, we'll get into the weeds with the individual matches. And I can't sit here and say that all of these matches were fucking just technically fantastic pro wrestling matches. That didn't fucking matter. The fact that we had talented people in there in the ring and doing what they did to make these matches at the very least good, some of them really fucking good, the energy in the room, the energy about the matches, the importance that people felt had people on the edge of their seats. That is pro wrestling. That is what's important. Not all the other bullshit. Not all the other fucking. This is what we've signed up for. And we got a little taste of it in what could have been a throwaway. This could have gone sideways. They didn't let it go sideways. They made everything feel so important. They made every near fall feel so important. And what they did was they said, okay, we're going to do our damnedest to make everyone feel the importance of this, right? New Japan, but also the people that were in the ring making it work, making it happen. Like, again, was this like the greatest pro wrestling show of all time? No. I don't think there was a match that went past 4 stars. Let's put it that way, right? Let's lay it out there. I don't think there was a match that went past 4 stars. But man, was I on the edge of my fucking seat for everything. Loved it. And again, for years, we've sat on this very fucking show, and people listened on their way to work, and people listened at home, and people listened on their AirPods, and people listened in the car, and people listened on the fucking train, and it's been the same song and dance for years. And finally, we're at a point where we can sit here and confidently say we were right, number one. And number two, it's everything that we've wanted, everything that we longed for is coming home. And I couldn't be happier.
Did you just say it's coming home?
It's coming home.
I agree with you, Damon. Like, immaculate vibes for this show. And what better way to start? So the 4th match, and I said when we previewed this, I was like, well, this is the 4th match. There's no way they're doing the upset in the 4th match. If we're going to have a young lion defeating Hiroshi fucking Tanahashi, that's main eventing, right? Korakuen Hall, at least. But no, 4th match, we get Oleg Boltin pinning Hiroshi Tanahashi in 6 minutes and 50 seconds, following the kamikaze, and Oleg advancing to the tournament finals. 4th match on the card, 6 minutes, a young lion pinning President Tanahashi. President Tanahashi putting his clean as a sheet. President Tanahashi putting his fucking money where his mouth is. Like, is there a more unselfish man in wrestling to put his peers to shame, to put to shame people that he put over and refuse to do the same to others, to just go out there and lie on that mat and stare at the lights, to do business where it makes sense and where it is the right thing to do. Because I said that I didn't think Oleg was going to win, but he should win. And he did win, and that's good, and that is correct. Oleg Boltin, he may not be ready for the G1 climax. He might be. I mean, actually, I was discussing this with Jay Michael, who's made the point about other super rookies. He talked about DDT super rookie Maseda, who trained less than 3 months, and then they just sent him out there. And looked a bit shaky at first, but 18 months later, he looks really good. So he's saying Oleg Boltin should be in that G1, whether or not he's ready for it. You just throw him in because he's a guy who is going to be a part of the future of the company. And he may not be the finished article now, but you do it. You just do it because you get those reps in, and he might not be setting the world on fire for his initial tournament debut, but he thinks that's a risk you need to take. So I don't know if Oleg's ready for the G1, but Jay Michael makes a very compelling case there. Even if he doesn't win this tournament, though, wins over Yano and Tanahashi for a young lion, those are big, right? If he doesn't beat Taichi in the finals, then maybe that would be a good time to send him on excursion. But I think we have to put into context, first of all, him beating Tanahashi, and secondly, Hiroshi Tanahashi not being in a Grade 1 climax.
Yeah.
The last time he wasn't in the G1, the iPhone hadn't been invented yet.
Wow. How about that? Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, to answer your question, is there a more unselfish person in pro wrestling? Doesn't feel like it. But I think everyone checked their egos at the door. Like, I think everyone checked their egos at the fucking door at Korakuen. That's leadership. That's called leadership right there. To me, anyway. Like, again, putting your money where your mouth is.
That's it. He's not telling people what to do. He's showing them what to do and showing them how to do it.
Correct. And the fact that without any hoopla, without any pomp nor circumstance, the guy's not in G1. The phone that you have in your hand right now, right, was not around the last time he was not in G1. That is a remarkable thing. And it was as simple as, okay, I'm losing in Cork and Hall in front of 13,000 people, maybe even a little bit less. And that's that, right? And again, Kenta, Ishii, all for different reasons. None of them dogged it. In fact, let's be very clear and honest. Kenta probably had his best match in fucking months, right? They all lie down. Look, 6 minutes. 6 minutes. I couldn't believe. You should have just seen the grin. Is he ready? I don't know. Maybe. Possibly. He'll probably lose more than he wins in G1. Right? Totally okay with that. And I'll say this as well. Joel, this could all fall apart. They're putting a lot of stock. Somebody asked a question, and I heard you read it off. What if it doesn't work? Right. That's a fear everybody has, right? But if you live your life that way, you miss out. Because what if it works? Right? What if it works? What if this is the beginning of another great period of pro wrestling? Right? It could go tits up. It could fucking be a disaster. Could be. But the fact that this company has the balls right now, for whatever reason they found them, for whatever reason they dropped, for whatever reason, we're here. They did it. And they're doing it. And they're putting the effort in. So, again, I'm sitting here talking like we fucking found the cure for a dreaded disease. It's been a couple weeks, right? So maybe I should just fucking pump the brakes a little bit. But I'm excited because for the first time in a long time, there is a direction. If it fails, I'm going to give them credit, right? Because if they're doing everything that they need to do, it shouldn't. But if it does, I'll give them credit for at least having the balls to fucking try and not just card out the same tired ass bullshit. They found their balls, man. They found their fucking nuts.
David says, apologies if I'm too late for the recording. You're not, David. Do you think we get one last Tanahashi G1, maybe next year, finish near the bottom, but a big win on the last night to give him a good ending? Emilio Badila says, who do you think the true last great Tanahashi feud should be with? I don't know. I think he might be done. I think there might have been some drama and tickets to squeeze out of the final Hiroshi Tanahashi G1, but I just think they're not doing it. I think Tanahashi's like, no, that's it. We're pushing the young guys. Yeah. All the old guys are out. I'm not in it anymore. Can't do it anymore. And that's that. He's not made a song and dance about it. He's not tried to, wring some money out of it. Yep. That's it. It's happened. It's gone.
And again, this is pro wrestling, mind you. You mean to tell me they couldn't have milked that for all that it's fucking worth? Right? He made a conscious decision to say, nope, spotlight's not on me. It's not about me. Not about me. Wow, what a refreshing thought process there. In this world, not about me? Wow. Whoa. Who? What? Yeah. And in pro wrestling. You mean to tell me?
Tell you what, do him a retirement match at Wrestle Dynasty. Tanahashi versus, I don't know, Bryan Danielson, something like that.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if that. Hey, listen, when they, after, when was it? Dantaku? When was it that Liger did the press conference? It was like, okay, Wrestle Kingdom. That's it. Wouldn't be surprised. But the fact that he said, nope.
Well, should it be a New Japan guy to retire him? Should it be Tsuji? Tsuji, the one who retires Tanahashi. It seems like that's the sort of selfless thing that Tanahashi would do.
Yeah, they like doing that. I remember Ricky Choshu's retirement. It was like he had like five-minute matches against all these different legends. It's kind of weird. Liger being one of them. I would not be surprised if in some way this is a Hiroshi Tanahashi retirement thing come January 4th. But again, the original point, he could have very easily said, okay, this is my last one, and blah, 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 and it's about me to a certain degree. Nope. I'm going to lie down in Korakuen Hall. And here's the thing. The guy that beat me, right? I mean, it's not, correct. I always get these things confused, John. I know I'm a laughing stock, but bear with me here. Boltin wrestles who now?
Taichi.
Okay. He might lose, right? He might lose. He could lose, right? It's not even a lock that he's in. But again, we made a qualifying match. Means so much. And here we are. Now imagine what these other qualifying matches are going to look like. So I know I'm sitting here fucking jacking him off, but he deserves a good fucking yank, man. He deserves everyone's hands on that man's cock and start tugging.
Christ. Right, I'm moving on. Fifth match was Callum Newman defeating Kenta in 14 minutes 38 seconds with the Oscutter. So Callum Newman advances to the tournament final. Kenta was brilliant here. This was not funny backstage ha-ha Kenta. This was pissed off, grumpy veteran Kenta with his working boots on. And look, Callum took the big bumps, the big boy bumps, eating the suplexes onto the floor, things like that. I thought they complemented each other very, very well. I thought the match layout was simple but effective. I thought Kenta made Callum look great here, so I want to throw all the flowers at Kenta for a really great professional veteran performance. And even the near falls, like teasing us with the ref bump, the kendo stick, the Defy title. I bet on that, and I thought, the bastard, he's gonna do it. And look, at this point, I'm sold on Callum Newman in the G1. He's shown me enough there. I think he's got enough to absolutely hang and have a good account of himself there. And I suppose the question is, what's next for Kenta? Like, does he still have value to New Japan? Because this sort of stuff, like he's obviously shown he's excellent at putting over the youngsters, but is that something that he necessarily wants to do long term? So I don't know. I think maybe he might be better off working in different promotions, and maybe he'll find that more creatively fulfilling. But Elliot says, was that about as good a match as we can get out of 2024 Kenta? Brilliant one-off performance, in my opinion, absolutely. But again, is that sustainable for him in New Japan Pro Wrestling employment? I don't know. Damon, Callum Newman and Kenta, your thoughts?
Well, again, here we are. I mean, here's another perfect example of a guy who has enough of a resume to be like, fuck that, I ain't doing that, right? He did it, and he did it strongly, and again, the best match we've seen out of Kenta in months. Once again, a lot on the line. A guy that everyone wanted to see move on, and yep, I bit too on a lot of those spots. And I don't want to sit here and be like, well, that's why they spent 2 years doing that. No, okay, right for that one moment, exactly. But hey, it's there, right? Let's acknowledge that it happened and make it a reason of, okay, let's have them lose here. It'd be great. And again, Callum's ready, right? I don't think anybody's disputing that. And he's young, and he doesn't have a lot of pro wrestling miles on his body yet. I'm sure he wakes up sore, but there's a big difference between a 30-year-old waking up sore and a 20-year-old waking up sore. So, yeah, you're right. He took all the big bumps. Some of those guardrail shots, geez, Louise. Yeah, they went at it full tilt. It felt like not even full tilt, like, because they didn't have to. Like, they didn't have to go 30 minutes. They told a fantastic story of a guy beating the odds and getting a big win over an established star who, the shot, once again, some of the best camera work is New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm sorry. But the shot of just Kenta lying there looking at the fucking lights. And I was like, wow. that is impressive. I really was like, God damn, they're doing it. And the fact they went back to back with it, like I was like, whoa. Because again, I'm a big believer in, okay, if they did it once, they're not going to do it again, right? And, it just didn't, with title changes and shit like that, they went back to back with it. They went back to back with it. So yeah, needless to say, you invested 20 minutes and you got two things that were like, whoa, what else are they going to do? And it was cool because, like, at every turn, I was like, well, okay, are they going to go 3 for 3? Are they going to go 4 for 4? Yeah, I was digging it, man. I was fucking digging it. And the fact that they at least committed this much to what are rising stars with big established names, it's pretty amazing. Look, could we sit here and say Kenta's going to survive the grind of G1? I don't think anybody was looking forward to that. But the fact that they recognized the fact that, okay, this is what needed to be done, and they checked their egos at the door, I can't applaud loud enough. Let's put it that way.
Sixth match was Taichi defeating TJP 90 minutes, 26 seconds after the Black Mephisto. So Taichi advances to the tournament finals. I thought this was another really great match. I thought TJP's speed and agility was a nice compliment to Taichi's power, and TJP is trying to use the same tactics as he did against Kojima and take out Taichi's his lariating arm. And there were some really cool moments here with the sort of dueling face washes and the crowd dynamics. Like they were into both guys here. It almost seemed like a 50-50 split. And a lot of callbacks to the faction warfare gauntlet match they had before, where TJP got the pin over Taichi. Really great near falls. I was biting on them. So I thought it was a tremendous match. I mean, Taichi seemed to really be giving it a lot of the old mouth to someone who is up in the crowds. He just seems a bit disgruntled in general with this whole playoff concept. I don't know how much of that is a work or a shoot, but I thought it was notable anyway. But it was a nice show of respect at the end with Taichi shaking the hand of TJP and giving him his props for a good performance. So the TJP captain thing rolls on with a lot of uncertainty. Does seem like this is just him going into business for himself. But I'm going to give TJP his dues here because I think he's added drama and quality to these play-ins. And he didn't have to do it, but he did it and put in some really great performances and made it exciting. So I'm not going to hand wave the open weight TJP thing completely. I don't want to see him transition to a heavyweight, but him sort of popping up to do the odd open weight, heavyweight shot, I'm okay with that because I think he's proved that he's good at it.
Yeah.
And if this is what it entails, then I will allow him to do that with my blessing. He gets a pass from me.
Very good.
So Aaron Metha says, is the best use for Taichi really to have him be a gatekeeper to the heavyweight division, just a less famous Ishii? I do think that's what his spot is. I would like it to be more than that. Again, I think he's got a great crowd connection, and I think you could be doing more prominent things with Taichi. But at this point, I would just be grateful for him getting in the G1 climax itself. Never mind him going deep in it or winning singles titles or anything like that. I'm just grateful that he's in the final, to be honest. But I thought really excellent match anyway.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest complaint was the fact that two guys that I would have zero problem being in G1 one of them had to go, right? One of them wasn't going to be in it. And, it might have been, and I don't know this for sure, but it might have been scheduling, right? Maybe somebody couldn't have a month in Japan. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it was done for that sole reason, right? Who knows? But yeah, I guess my only disappointment was one of them had to go home. Like one of them wasn't going to be in G1. If given the choice, I think I personally have no problem with Taichi being in. In fact, I was kind of surprised that he was on the bubble in the sense of, I don't know, I thought he was maybe not a shoo-in, but I think the biggest question was, like, what has he done to earn a spot? And he's doing that now, right? So he's kind of pissed off in the sense of he has to even be in this fucking thing. Yeah, so we'll see what happens in the finals. But a guy like TJP, even though shockingly he's like Kota Ibushi when it comes to the age thing. Like a lot of people don't really, understand that he's an older dude. He's not like fucking geriatric, but he's not 20. It still feels like he still has a ton of miles on his body. So if we wanted athleticism and the craziness in a match when it comes to your pro wrestling, I think you're going to see that a little bit more with a TJP as opposed to a Taichi. Now, that being said, we know that Taichi has shaken off the fucking label of being a guy that you fast forward through. That's long since gone. No, I was okay with any finish, right? Any of the two going on, but there was a part of me that was like, all right, let's go 3 for 3. You know what I mean? Like, let's really go for the guy that you really wouldn't expect him to win. He is this kind of tweener, junior heavyweight and heavyweight kind of guy, but I think in the grand scheme of things, I think a lot of people figured Taichi would win just on that dynamic alone. And I thought maybe they would give us a little more to go 3 for 3. But I'm okay with Taichi going in. I think he can deliver, and I think he will deliver. Actually, I think good things are in store for his G1.
Main event was a fantastic match between YOSHI-HASHI, who defeated Tomohiro Ishii in 26 minutes and 1 second via karma. So YOSHI-HASHI advances to the tournament final. So obviously these guys are Chaos stablemates, former tag partners, former tag champions together. Damon, can you rebook this match out if it was booked by an American wrestling promoter?
Stare down, and stand in the middle of the ring. Let's do our hard-hitting spots. Let's
a lot of talking,
a
lot of crying.
There's got to be a hand stare somewhere around there of what have I become?
YOSHI-HASHI lifting Ishii up for karma and then halfway through shaking his head saying, no, I can't do it.
Right.
I love you too much.
Right.
This is why I love New Japan, man. Like this exact setup, unlike US wrestling, no shenanigans, no melodrama, no in-ring promos. There's a bit of shit talking, but just two mates beating 7 shades of shit out of each other because they respect each other, because they love each other. No horseshit, no bullshit, just straight to business. And showing, as you said, Damon, how much it means to be in the Grade 1 climax. And I think doing this in a one-off play-in tournament knockout match is a lot more meaningful than doing the same match, let's say in the G1 block itself on, I don't know, fucking night 8 in Hamamatsu.
Right.
It was an outstanding match. It had the stakes. Honestly, I thought this is a low-key match of the year candidate because it just had everything going for it. The vibes, the crowds, the work rate, the outcome. And yeah, this is it. No Ishii in the Grade 1 climax. This could be it now.
Crazy.
We might never see him in the G1 again.
Crazy.
How big a loss is that, Damon?
Look, if the guy can't go, the guy can't go, right? And again,
yeah, I think we need to stress this. This is not like New Japan thinking he's shit. I'm sure they would love to have him in the G1, but from what I've heard, his knee cannot hold up to that.
Yeah. And again, we know how stubborn he is, and we know, the guy would probably try to fight his way through it. And I think wiser heads prevailed. That being said, there is something, and every year we can say this. There is something about a big time Ishii match in G1, right? There is something about that. Here's a guy that never got his title match, did he? Against Okada. Yeah, remember that big win he got against Okada? Remember that? Did he ever get that title match?
Yeah, it was 2016, wasn't it? Neither did Yano, to be fair. Yano didn't get his title match.
Well, okay. So he's very disrespectful to his fellow Chaos members, but okay. It is going to be weird. Look, it had to happen eventually, right? It had to happen eventually. But yeah, I mean, look, I guarantee you, Joel, that there are people, and I don't want to stereotype. I don't want to do that. But I think you can close your eyes and think of the people that might be upset that G1, New Japan Pro Wrestling's premier pro wrestling tournament, will not have Hiroshi Tanahashi. It will not have Tomohiro Ishii. And they're saying, well, how in the fuck could that possibly be? Well, that's so.
Yeah, there's people who've not watched the product since 2018.
Exactly. I mean, like, yeah. And let's be very clear. That's what it feels like Tony Khan books to, right? He's booking to that. Okay. So that being said, there is something special about Tomohiro Ishii in G1, where one night, maybe two, there's a match that you have circled on your calendar that's like, ooh, this could be fucking good. This could be fucking good. You're not going to get that this year. Which to me is, again, has to be done. I don't think he would have survived the full G1 anyway. And yeah, let's get some interest going here. Let's get some interest going. And I'm sure it was one of those things where, he's taking that walk backstage, and I think a lot of those guys taking that walk backstage and knowing full well what they did, right, for the company. I know I don't want to be too melodramatic here, but like, think of this: we had a show at Corrigan Hall where 3 guys took clean pinfall losses. Let me rattle off those names if I could: Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroshi Tanahashi, KENTA. Think of that. Think of the significance of that. It's not 2018 anymore, kids. That's for damn sure.
Got a question here from Mixelplix. This is a very old question, but I thought it was a timely one to bring up. He says, apropos of nothing other than the fact that New Japan finally feels fun as hell again. Again, this is a very old question. Do you remember crying YOSHI-HASHI girl? Lately, I cannot stop wondering whatever happened to her. Is old Yoshi too successful for her love now? Or did they meet, get married, and have 2.5 clumsy, remember the unforced concussion era, but otherwise thoroughly mediocre yet ultimately lovable children? YOSHI-HASHI, not sure I will ever truly respect you, but there will always be a place for you in my heart. At least no one ever called you a tempura boy. Aramita says, has the time passed for a singles title run from YOSHI-HASHI? So let's take the opportunity to throw some love at YOSHI-HASHI, who I thought was outstanding here. Probably one of his best ever singles performances, and a thoroughly deserved one. I mean, I don't know if he is going to win his final. I don't think he will. But I think it's important that we show some love to the king of Korakuen Hall, Mr. YOSHI-HASHI.
Yeah. It was a fantastic match. And here's the thing too, like he's been in a lot of spots where he's risen to the occasion. So it's not like we're putting him into the deep end of the water and saying, okay, figure it out. Like, he knows what he's doing. He really does. He may not look like it. Like, he might not have the most confident looking facial expressions, or, again, charisma wise or personality wise, he may not connect with everyone, but there is a pocket of people that appreciate his kind of awkwardness and kind of, I don't know what you would call it. Like kind of pro wrestling anxiety that he has. He fucking nailed it. And here's the thing too. It's not like he hasn't before. Like, it shouldn't come as a surprise. Like, he's a fucking really good wrestler. He really is. And again, this is coming from a podcast host who creates content, who loved to bring up the bag of socks. Okay, well, that might have been true. That might have absolutely been true. The guy can go. The guy can deliver. And again, Big Tom, he knows how to he knows how to get a match out of somebody. So yeah, we shouldn't be surprised. The fact that closed out the show, and the fact that they delivered, and the fact that Corkin was up for it. Now, that being said, am I rooting for him to be in G1? I'd rather see Taichi, to be quite frank. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That doesn't mean that Taichi wins.
It's YOSHI-HASHI against Callum Newman.
So Taichi definitely is not winning. Why can't I get that, Joel? Why is it that this concept?
You're really struggling with this, aren't you?
I don't know why. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me on this. I'm really just an idiot when it comes to this.
Right, I'm going to do it now. Put you on the spot, right? So we've got coming up on Friday. The play-in for the A block spot is Callum Newman versus YOSHI-HASHI. Preview
I
that
want to go Callum Newman with everything that I have, and it sucks because YOSHI-HASHI is definitely worthy of G1. I just want to see them continue on in this path. I really do. Trust me. I think it's 60-40 YOSHI-HASHI wins. I really do.
And not a bad outcome. I'll be very happy with both,
Correct.
to be honest. They put this so well that there's no bad options here.
I'm in full agreement. I'm rooting for Callum. I want Callum. I want to see what the young guy can do in a big spot, consistently, night after night, G1 grind. Let's see what he's got. I want that because to me, that's new, that's fresh, that's exciting, and it does help, with the end goal of making new stars. If they went YOSHI-HASHI, I would not complain at all.
And for the B block play-in final, Taichi versus Oleg Boltin.
Okay. Well, let's put it this way. Do they have the balls, Joel, to go 2 for 2 when it comes to younger guys looking to get into this tournament? Do you think they have the balls to do that? Or have they expended their ball limitations?
Prior to today's show, I would have said ball limitations. But now, I say all ball bets are off.
All ball bets are off. All right.
Gun to my head, I'm going with my original picks when these brackets were announced of Callum Newman and Taichi. But I would not be stunned and I would have zero complaints if they just went all out and did Callum Newman and Oleg Boltin.
I think that's a big ask. Like, I'm really asking them to fucking show me your nuts. Listen, I'd be happy with one of them. I don't care who. Do I have a preference of Taichi being in? Yes, I do. Do I have a preference of Callum being in? Yes, I do. I'd be happy if they did one. So if they said, okay, Oleg, you're the guy, and they went that route, and YOSHI-HASHI's in, great. If they flipped it, great. If they went 2 for 2 and they went all out, balls out, I'd be pretty happy. I'd be pretty happy. I really want Taichi in it though. Like, I think he's one guy that really could do great things in G1. And trust me, I think I'm not saying deserves it. Deserves it is not the word. I just think there might be a little bit more fun that we could have in G1 when it comes to matchups and potential matchups and winning and losing and all that stuff that might be a little bit more significant than both guys getting into G1. So my pick, Taichi and Callum, but I would be really fucking thrilled if they went balls out and did 2 young guys in. I would have no problem with that.
Also on Friday's show, we got the Tetsuya Naito and Bushi triumphant return match where we got Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Tetsuya Naito against a fellow LIJ team of Titan, Hiromu Takahashi and Yota Tsuji. So that one's notable for Naito and Hiromu being on opposite sides. So I wonder if that leads to anything long term. And we also have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match with El Desperado with his first defense against Doki.
Yeah. I mean, talk about Doki, where he started and where he's at. It's got to be pretty commendable, right? Nobody expected great things out of Doki. I know everybody, when they first saw him, were so impressed by his indie sleaze that they couldn't help but fall in love. And then, trust me, there were just as many people that were fucking hand waving him as quickly as he walked out the fucking curtain. Pretty amazing stuff. And worthy right? He worked his fucking ass off to do this. It wasn't like he just got it hand delivered to him on a silver platter. Interesting match. Like, this could be one of those matches that we might be talking about. Like, I know I'm not going to sit here and put undue pressure and undue lofty expectations. I don't know. There's something about this match that is equal parts grimy and, like, I don't think this is going to be your standard junior heavyweight title match, right? I think there's going to be a lot of fucking sandpaper involved. And I don't mean nonsense. And I just mean like wrestling violence, right? And again, I don't mean weaponry. I don't mean chairs. I don't mean barbed wire. I don't mean all of that. I just mean some crazy fucking hard-hitting, violent pro wrestling, I think is in our future. This is not going to be Chris Benoit versus Great Sasuke or, you know what? Let's be true. They've actually had matches that kind of described what I was earlier, so I'll take that back. But you get my point. It's not going to be Ricochet, Will Ospreay, right? I think we all can agree with that. So what's our option? It's going to be a little bit grimier, a little bit grittier, a little bit more sandpaper. I'm there for it. I think it's going to be fun. I'm actually really looking forward to it. And I think it's successful defense.
Yes, that's the end of the podcast. Fuck the Tories, everyone, and goodbye. See you next week.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.